Good afternoon, everybody. I'd just like to start by welcoming everybody to this webinar. So obviously we're going to be covering a range of different things today. However, everything will be centralized largely around how to negotiate a salary and make a job offer. So we'll start off today. I'll start off with a bit of a welcome and introduction to myself. We'll discuss a few different ideas around finding the right number to make the offer with, personalizing the package, making a smart offer. We'll also take some time to have a bit of a recap, and then any questions as well that you have, feel free to write them into the chat function on the right-hand side of your screen. So look, a bit of an introduction to myself. My name is Jordan Davies. I'm the manager of the New South Wales sales team here at Michael Page. My background is 6 years within the Michael Page business. Prior to that, across the hospitality, travel and tourism space in a range of different sales roles. And I've been with Michael Page now for a little over 6 years. I've got a team that span a couple of different industry verticals, one of which is more around the business and professional services sector, so everything from financial institutions, IT firms, professional services firms. And then across in my Parramatta office, I've got a team that specialise in more of the industrial and technical sales side of things. So you name it, we can recruit it for you, anything from tyres to valves and pistons to automation, a range of different things as well. So before we start, I thought we'd just do a very brief market overview, just allow a few of the last minute people to dial in. Obviously, this time of year we're a little less than 2 weeks away from the end of the financial year, and that generally across the whole recruitment sector means that things quieten down a little bit. A lot of the customers that we do some work with have taken the opportunity to, I suppose, reflect on what they've done over the past 12 months and make some plans for the new financial year as well. So that may affect you, it may not, but a lot of the businesses that we do currently work with are starting to assess exactly where they're going to be spending their headcount budget in the new financial year, and obviously looking at areas for expansion and growth as well, which is pleasing to see, largely speaking, and obviously that ability to sell the growth roles to candidates is always a benefit rather than a replacement opportunity. It shows that the business is healthy and doing well. My advice to everybody that's on the call and anybody that I deal with, whether or not you're a small, medium business or a large enterprise as well, is get thinking about what you're spending your money on now, where you're going to grow these roles, because it's vital you get to the market early. As of July 1st, a lot of people are very keen to make that move and have a look around, largely speaking because the recruitment process can take a few weeks. Anybody that may be due an end of financial year or end of quarter bonus will have that paid out by the time that they're ready to make a move as well. So do make sure you have a think about it now and move pretty quickly as soon as July 1st ticks over. So look, a couple of quick things as well. Obviously a bit of an introduction to myself, which we've covered. On the right hand side of your screen, you've got your sort of user module there. You'll note there is a chat function as well, so any questions you have regarding anything I'm presenting today, please do write your questions in there. I'm sat with my colleague who will have a look at some of those, and we'll answer as many as we can towards the end of the session. So we might as well jump into it now and start the presentation itself. So look, obviously this is around salary negotiation, getting a good job offer out. This is a really daunting task for a lot of businesses, whether you're a large enterprise, but largely around some of our SME customers. You know, we speak to a lot of SME clients every single day across Australia, and even further, we do a lot of work across the Asia Pacific region and even broader. Michael Page is a global entity. We've got offices all over the world, so you know, a lot of our SME customers are global clients as well, looking to either relocate or start operations in Australia. However, if we focus largely on the Australian clients that we deal with, you know, a lot of goals for business, a lot of people are looking about how they can reach their goals for business growth, and every single time we talk to them, it comes down to talent. They know that the business growing is all about having the right people in the right roles, but securing the right people for the right price is really the significant challenge that a lot of SMEs face on a daily basis. This was recently reiterated on our Michael Page SME Hiring Challenges survey, which is based. We talked to a little over 100 SMEs across Australia about their recruitment practice and challenges, and the surprising thing is nearly half of them said that they struggle to find suitable talent, and as a result of that, a pretty scary statistic here is that 50% of them say that they often have to employ somebody that they would consider okay, rather than fantastic. And that's great. You found somebody for the business, but if you're not sold on them and their capabilities, are you going to be able to achieve those growth plans moving forwards? You really want to find somebody that fits the bill, that is going to be an absolute asset to the business, rather than somebody that is really a bum on a seat that can do the job. You're looking for somebody that can excel in the role itself. So the question remains, what happens after you spend months trawling through resumes? And it is trawling through a lot of resumes for a lot of opportunities. You've obviously interviewed these applicants, and you found this great candidate. So the question is that where do you go from here? That a great candidate can be defined in many different ways. I would suggest that when you find an outstanding person who's absolutely everything you're looking for, the right mix of skills, the right mix of experience, personality that's going to gel well with your business. A lot of small businesses, culture is key. It's really why a lot of people work for the business. You've got somebody that has got the motivation to make a big impact. You really do need to move quickly. You need to get them on board as soon as possible. But one of the questions is, can you afford them? Will they accept the offer? Will they accept what you have to offer? It's critical to make sure that these final stages of the recruitment process are absolutely perfect to ensure a really smooth offer and acceptance process, and obviously to get that fantastic candidate on board and make sure they don't slip through your fingers. There's nothing more frustrating than getting to the conclusion of a process and things falling over because of a poorly negotiated package or some mismanaged expectations at the final stages as well. So the strategies we'll go through now will hopefully help you to turn the outstanding candidate into an outstanding employee, I guess. The real conversion of sourcing and all that work you go through to actually come to fruition and bring on an excellent candidate as well. At the end of this process, it really does come down to 3 steps, and they are quite simple. Finding the right number, personalizing the package, which is crucial, and then of course making the smart offer as well. Finding the right number is about striking the right balance between market expectations, what your candidate is looking for, and what you can afford to pay. SMEs, we'll obviously cover a little bit later on, can often have some fairly small budgets, so it's important to make sure that this is the right fit for everybody. Personalizing the package, is about customizing the offer, so it's a win-win. This will focus on some more of the non-financial rewards that are available as well, so we'll make sure we go through that in a bit of depth. And then finally, making a smart offer is about managing the offer process itself. We'll give you a few tips on how to keep it effective and efficient, positive and professional as well, making sure we do maintain that level of professionalism. And then finally, we'll offer some practical examples along the way from some of our most successful SME clients across the globe, which hopefully you can use when you obviously recruit for your next role as well. So we'll get started with finding the right number. So this is crucial. This is a really important part of the groundwork, and this is what I'd recommend anybody does that's looking to recruit in the new financial year is starting to do now, not when we get there. Setting a sensible salary range is really key, and then obviously negotiating this with your ideal candidate as well. Again, as we said at the beginning, this can be quite nerve-wracking, especially in SME where you're not necessarily able to call an in-house HR department, and I guess the real crucial thing to remember is this is a question of balance more than anything. You want to offer a great deal, of course, especially if you're competing against some of the bigger corporates within your market segment. However, you do obviously need to work within your modest SME budget as well. Now, not all budgets are modest, depending on the industry you're in, but at the same time, a lot of small and medium enterprises do need to keep their eyes on the pennies rather than writing these big salary checks as well. So making sure you're competitive is always important. The ideal outcome is to offer a salary that's commercially viable for both parties. So the question remains is, what's the best way to determine a fair rate where everybody wins? So a few things that I would give you I guess a bit of guidance on is in order to find a really fair rate where everybody is quite happy with the offer and the acceptance as well, is you need to know your market. Of course, that goes without saying, and a lot of you are probably thinking, well, you do know your market, you know everything there is to know about it. However, it never hurts just to reiterate that. Making sure that you know what a competitive offer would look like. Knowing the market comes down to several fairly clear factors, however, they are very important to keep in mind as well. What industry are you in, the level of experience you're looking for, more importantly, why are you looking for that level of experience? Is 10 years sales experience absolutely crucial for this role, or would you sell for somebody with 3? Obviously, the price point will be very, very different as well. The skills you're looking, skills that are required to do the job. Of course, the geographic location of the role. Where are you based? What sort of population are around your offices? We've recently been doing some work in a fairly rural country town out in country New South Wales. So finding somebody with that skill set is difficult. More importantly, we've obviously offered a bit of guidance as well because talent is so scarce in the region that the client themselves do need to look at offering a better package, not only more money but a bit more flexibility, etc. as well. Is any management responsibility, does that come with the role as well? You're looking for somebody that is prepared to manage 2 or 3 aspects of the role, from leading a team to coaching individuals, and then obviously going out to your customers. Of course, I'm speaking more from a sales side of things myself, which is where my experience lies, but important to think about if these individuals need to manage any employees. Next is demand for the position. What does your brand look like in the market? Do you have a good brand? Are you somebody that clients will want to work for? Is the job itself challenging enough for the right individual as well? If you've got somebody that's in a general management style role now, but you're looking to take them down into more of a state sales manager role or a state manager role, is that going to be something that's challenging enough for them? What are other SMEs in your industry are paying to fill similar positions? This is a really important thing to have a look at. There's no sense in pricing yourself out of the market at the high end or the low end. So do a bit of research on what your competitors are paying this particular role within your industry. And of course, whether or not your business is competing with larger organizations. Some of the businesses we are competing with do have more capital to invest in wages. And of course, it's up to us to establish whether or not we can compete, whether or not we want to compete, and whether or not it's going to be a viable thing for us to look at as well. So these facts in mind, it's always important to research typical salaries for the role based on market rates. And in my mind, there are 3 really key ways that you can get a rough idea of this. And the great news is a lot of it is online as well, so it's fairly labor unintensive. So the 3 ways are fairly straightforward. You can start by visiting our website, of course. We produce an annual salary and employment outlook, which is available on the website. This is a free resource, so check it out, have a look through it. The great thing about this is that it gives you a really solid expert insight into hiring expectations, so not just salaries, but also key issues as well affecting different industries across Australia. We look at some of the softer skills, what some of our customers are looking to offer in a new period of time, maybe a new financial year or calendar year, and it really does highlight what you can offer, not only from a financial perspective, but give you some ideas on what other aspects of the role that you can tweak as well to make the opportunity more competitive. The research can really help you determine if the number you've got in mind is competitive and in line with standards. It does also outline industry-specific salary and benefits trends, and of course best practice as well. The next one is similar, however, a little bit more tailored. So important for you to also look at salary reports compiled by your own trade or professional association. Of course, we may have people on the line. We've got people on the line that are from technology and software firms right the way across to industrial technical firms. Have a look at some of your trade presses. You may be subject to receiving them on a daily basis, generally just after lunch for you to have a read through. Do invest some time in that. A lot of the time they've got some great information that is specifically tailored towards your particular industry segment as well. And then finally, the next strategy that we recommend is jumping onto a trusted job board as well. There's a number of them out there. We partner with the guys at Seek, for example, and we do a lot with the team at Indeed, obviously LinkedIn as well. And get on there and have a look at what sort of roles are available right now. And be honest with yourself, how does your role stack up against something that might be for a competitor in the same sort of area as you, if you struggle from the geographical standpoint, and get a bit of a gauge on what level they're advertised for as well. Also, look at what's required for the candidate. If you're looking for a national sales role and one of the ads on Seek is looking for a national sales role, print it off, have a look at them next to each other and figure out, well, what do you need, what don't you need, what are these individuals looking for as well. And it's a fairly quick and simple way to see what and who you're competing with as well. One thing to keep in mind with salary data, however, is that whilst it is an excellent indicator of where to start, it is based on averages as well. Now, that's not only with our own employment outlook, but also with some of the trade presses as well. It is based on averages. The numbers have got a really, they do have the potential to spook a lot of companies who have particular nuances, and of course, factors are impossible to capture in large-scale summaries. But it is a great starting off point. For this reason, it is a good idea as well to meet with or give us a call. We've got a range of SME recruitment experts in our business, and we can give you a really good guide on exactly what you're offering. We don't just look at our own report and regurgitate the figures. We generally do a bit more research on exactly what is required on the day-to-day. And whilst we can give you our idea of the salary level, we can also give a bit of justification around that as well, which is important for you to be able to take to market as well. So obviously now we've got a clearer sense of what the market is paying on average for the same person. The next step is probably the most crucial part of this entire webinar, which is the reality check itself. Are you in the position to offer that sort of salary level? So you've obviously gone and done your research, you've looked through your books, you've spoken to your accountants and your financial controller, and it's important to make sure you can get to that level. Is that something you can achieve, or is it a bit out of reach as well? So to determine how competitive you can afford to be, there's a range of things that you need to consider. The current budget for salary, of course, we need to look at the base salary and the package itself. How flexible can you be around commissions, bonuses, benefits? And then, of course, the structure of your business as well. This is really important. Where are they going to fit in? Who's getting paid what? And really where they're going to slot into the business itself. So just making sure you can digest exactly what that looks like as well. It gives you the opportunity as well to review your business in a bit more depth and figure out whether or not a lot of your high-performing employees are at market rate, whether or not you can protect them from similar-sized businesses looking to take your employees over as well. So a really good opportunity for you to do a bit of self-reflection there from a salary and benefits perspective. Of course, what are other employees paid in your business? And there's no sense in bringing somebody on in a huge salary if they're going to be being outpaid the general manager. How's your business performing? This is really important as well. Are you on a growth strategy? Are you prepared to bring somebody on board? Do you have some pretty aggressive targets for the next 2 or 3 years? Are you willing to invest in this individual to take you there? Short and long-term priorities as well. If you spend your time putting out fires and really not expanding from a new client or new project perspective, is this the right time to invest in this role? The expected growth rate, of course, over the next 12 to 24 months, maybe put a 3 to 5 year plan in place. And of course, predicted changes in your industry. This is a really interesting point and something that's perhaps relevant to some people, but not to others. We do a lot of work within the pharmaceutical sector. And it's important just to have a bit of a think about some of the patents that may be expiring on various different products, from medicines to actual devices as well. If that's something that's going to happen, there's no real sense in investing heavily in growth in this area if the market's going to be opened up and you're not really going to have a lot of work for this individual to do. And then finally, it's very important to think about how much potential the role has to help you reach its goals. Your business is hopefully growing. You need the right people in place to facilitate that growth as well. So really do assess exactly what you'd be expecting to get out of this person, how much of a core role it is, and how much it's going to contribute as well. And then obviously the value of the role here, what dividends is the role going to pay? How much revenue expecting it will bring in if it's a sales role? What's the opportunity cost of not having the top talent there? We can talk everything from internal group services roles right the way across to frontline sales roles. It's important for you to digest exactly what it means to the business. You may decide that you want the best possible candidate for slightly more money because they're going to add a huge amount of value to you or the business. Or you may realize after a bit of that self-reflection as well that you just don't need the cream of the crop for this particular role. You've got a great solid structure in place. This person needs to be good quality, but not the absolute top level candidate as well. At the end of the day, your company has got the budget that you've got to work within. Similarly, every candidate that I meet certainly has got their own personal financial obligations and will have a line in the sand in terms of minimum salary they can expect. I wouldn't necessarily go out to most of your candidates asking what the minimum salary they can expect is, because it can leave a bit of a bad taste. But at the end of the day, it's about making sure that we have that balance and that everybody's comfortable with the remuneration and the package on offer as well. The question I suppose you need to ask is if it looks like you can't offer more than $70,000 for a role, but the candidate that you want won't accept less than $100,000, you've got to ask, is there a real point in pursuing them, or should you invest that time and effort looking at somebody that's a little bit more suited to the level that you're looking to target, which is obviously why it's critical to set clear salary expectations right from the beginning. So decide on the salary range you're willing to offer. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that. In order to be competitive, the lower end of the range, in my opinion, should be at least in line with industry standards. Once you've done your research, you might find that industry standards are 70,000. That should be your starting point. Don't make that your top end, otherwise you're really going to struggle to attract, but more importantly, retain that top talent as well. At the higher end of the range, it goes back to knowing your limits. A little bit like a gambling limit. If you give yourself a number that you can't go above, then make sure you're pretty diligent to that. You need to know what budget you've got to work with. So you should have a clear idea of the point which you need to walk away yourself. It can often be down to a pride point. You've gone through a lot of negotiation with this person, but at the same time, you need to consider your own business and can you afford that as well. Now, that being said, make sure you build in a bit of wiggle room as well. Don't necessarily go to market with $70,000. That's all I can offer. Make sure you've got a bit of flexibility. 5 or 10 grand can't hurt if it's something that you've done your research on and you make sure you're comfortable with that number as well. And I suppose one of the really important things around sort of this area of the negotiation as well is being transparent. Tell the candidate you believe in transparency. You want to have clear expectations up front. Obviously happy to discuss package from down a little bit later on down the track, but in terms of the budget, this is the range you're able to offer. Let them know day one that it's based on thorough research on the market, the level of experience that you require for the role, and so on, and this becomes your starting point for negotiation as well. So transparency is absolutely key. You would hope that your candidate is going to be transparent with you as well. Asking the candidate what the current salary is as well, where their expectations lie around salary. It's always important that just because they're being paid a certain salary right now, that they wouldn't expect more for this role. Just have a bit of a think about what they're actually doing in the current role, whether or not they're overqualified for that role. Are you going to be expecting more of them as well? So don't just ask them what the current salary is and make that assumption that's what they'll accept. Make sure you are very clear and ask them what their expectations are, but more importantly, have that discussion around flexibility as well. It's critical to know the minimum salary that accept up front. Again, be delicate about how you ask this, but you do want to avoid wasting both people's time, your own and also the candidate as well. Ideally, the candidate will volunteer their expectations first. However, most savvy candidates will be smart enough to ask you what your range is first before they obviously show their cards as well. Setting clear expectations at the beginning makes it very hard for the candidate to push back on the final stages. Some people will. Most people will offer a certain level of negotiation. However, it shouldn't be too far outside the range you've already discussed if you've been very upfront and clear about your expectations and your abilities at the beginning of the process as well. So finding the right number, as you can see, really important. It's not something that can be rushed into. You need to make sure you spend the time and the effort dealing with people internally, your financial controller, your accountants, your GMs, whatever it might be, and really investing the time in this. The second part of this webinar is more around personalizing the package. So personalizing the package is crucial. It's not just taking an offer to market and going from there. If the candidate is open to the salary range you're offering, you need to think about sweetening the pot by looking at how you can personalize the offer. So what does that mean? Good negotiators, in my mind, will always have a range of options up the sleeve. It's important to think not just about the financial benefits, but the non-financial benefits as well about working with your business. So this could include a range of different things, really. The challenge, now high achievers, again, in my experience, tend to be lifelong learners. Think about the opportunities in your business. Think about the ability to learn, to train, to grow, to develop in the business as well. Do you guys offer a niche product or a niche service that this individual might not have had access to before? If you do, then you talk about some of the training and development courses you're willing to send them on, how you're willing to invest in their development as well. The challenge of the role is really important. The ownership, this is a huge benefit to a lot of small, medium businesses. Top performers want to take ownership of the work and not just feel like another number within a large business. This is a huge advantage for most candidates coming from larger organizations where the red tape and the bureaucracy can place a lot of limitations on what they actually do. Moving into the variety of things, the ownership, the challenge, the variety are all benefits to small, medium companies. Candidates tell us that one of the big benefits working for a smaller business is the opportunity for a hands-on, on-the-job experience across a broader range of areas. They get to cover a lot of the issues across the whole business that they might not get access to through some of the larger enterprise businesses that they work for. Roles are often less rigid. So think about how you can offer exposure to different areas of the business. It's often when we recruit a business development manager from a large business, they've got a firm job description with 10 points that they have to cover. When they move to a smaller business, they get a taste at management and supplier relations and contract negotiations. So think about the variety you can offer. And of course, the buzzword at the moment, and this is something that my own business at Michael Page are taking very seriously, is that flexibility piece. More and more candidates, especially those who want to work for an SME, can be enticed with the lifestyle benefits that help them balance work and life, such as flexible hours or the opportunity to work from home occasionally. I know certainly I've got a young family myself, so that ability to work from home on occasion, or finish early for bedtime is a huge benefit for myself. Whilst you may not necessarily have the big budgets and the bonus structures of larger companies, the ability to offer a flexible working environment that consider people's lives outside work is a major trump card for a lot of companies we work with. And of course, every individual is different. The benefits that are important for one person may not be important to the next. That is why it is absolutely crucial to have a range of benefits in mind until you work out exactly what are the motivators of this particular individual as well. So make sure you find out as much as you can during the recruitment process to help personalize the offer. You need to get a clear picture on what really drives them, what their values are. During the conversations, be sure to ask about things like career goals, availability during the week. Build some rapport with these individuals as well. Find out what they like to do outside of work. Have you got a family? Have you got kids? All that sort of stuff. But really importantly, figure out what the priorities are, and obviously find out what the needs are as well. Not only for themselves and for the offer that you can give to them, but also for you. If they need to work from home 3 or 4 days a week and that doesn't fit your business, maybe we're barking up the wrong tree. So it's always important to find out that information. And then, of course, do they place a high value on professional development? Are they keen to travel as part of the role, maybe? Do they thrive on new challenges? Do they need constant stimulation? Again, this will paint a picture as to their suitability for you, as well as your suitability for them as well. By finding out what matters most to them, you can really determine what's going to help them accept an offer. You may discover they live a fair distance from the office, for example, so would value flexible work. They may want to work from home, or maybe they're highly ambitious, so would find it appealing to hear about the training and development opportunities as well. Of course, these benefits should be equally available to all of your staff, of course. The trick, however, is packaging up the ones that appeal most to the candidate to be presented as a personalized offer that they simply can't afford to refuse. Discussing these benefits during the salary negotiation process could even make it possible for a candidate to accept a lower salary. So we start thinking a bit more commercially about, these are some of the perks that we get. Are you prepared to take something a little bit lower, and allows you to negotiate a better deal for your own business as well. That I suppose leads us to the key part, which is our final step, of course, which is really that making a smart offer. So again, we've gone through this, we've done our research on the market, we've planned our negotiation, we found out exactly what's important to our candidate, and now it's about showing them the full picture so that they can make an informed decision. As well as fully understanding the salary and benefits on offer, it's really important that they need to fully understand the job's responsibilities as well. So a lot of people generally skip over this part and hope that it will work out towards the end. However, in the desire to close the deal, a lot of people do present just the positive aspects of the job. And this, quite frankly, could be quite risky, again, to particularly small, medium enterprise as well, as it does result in that job dissatisfaction and, of course, early turnover as well, which is the last thing we want. There's an enormous investment, not only from potentially recruitment costs and the like, but also from the investment of time and effort training this individual up as well. So here's a bit of a scenario. Say you've secured your candidate for the lower salary, for a lower salary you're expecting. Let's say you've saved 10 grand. And from your perspective, that's a great deal. You're saving a bit of cash, but once they start the job, they quickly realize that there's a huge amount more travel that's anticipated, or you expect them to work longer hours. It's end of financial year, maybe you expect them to work a few weekends to try and close down the rest of the year as well. But they themselves, they realize they're going to need a lot more compensation to stay in the role. Maybe they've found out that they need to take a toll road every day, and that's another $5 grand a year it's going to cost them. It's important to make sure that they've considered all aspects of the role before you offer them the job. You may have achieved a great deal, obviously in the short term, by getting somebody that's lower than market rate. However, you've really got to think about the cost of replacing that person within a 3 or 6 month period when they realize, I guess, what the job truly entails as well. So being clear on the job itself is really important. It's not really a risk worth taking, something that we obviously spoke about in the Michael Page SME Hiring Challenges survey. 1 in 3 of our clients, that the person they've hired will leave the company within 6 months, putting the employer back at square one. Starting the hiring process all over again takes time, an excessive amount of time, according to almost half of the employers surveyed. Time, money, and frankly, a lot of businesses, it doesn't matter whether you're a large business or a small, medium enterprise as well, it's time and money you just cannot afford. The downtime of not having this person in the role is going to cost you sales or something, so whatever area of the business they're within. And of course, it's something that you really need to make sure is ironed out before you make the job offer. So the candidate's obviously got clear expectations about the salary and potential benefits on offer, and what the job offer will entail. All that is left to do now for us is to formalize the offer. The culmination of all the previous conversations, the endless interviews, the phone calls, all that sort of stuff that you've had throughout the process itself. So this is where the real negotiation begins, I suppose. It's important to handle it with care. A lot of customers that I work with sort of see this final offer stage as the easy bit, and it's really where the whole deal can come to a head. My view would be that you deliver your offer in writing as a minimum, and ideally you deliver it face-to-face in person as well. A written offer is important so there's no misunderstanding. Think, if you will, about a base salary including or excluding super. That can make an enormous amount of difference to the final take-home pay at the end of every month. So writing it down means that there's no miscommunication whatsoever. So sit down with your candidate, let them know it's been a fantastic interview process, you're really keen to get them on board. Talk them through the fact that you've taken their motivations into consideration. You can even take this opportunity to reiterate some of them with them as well. It helps to build that rapport. And this is the package that you've come back with. You should then confirm that they're happy with the offer, ask if they have any questions itself. So again, this has got to be a back and forth conversation. If you've been clear throughout the whole process around salary and benefits and offer, then the expectations of the role, of course, there should be no surprises, no confusion at this late stage. The candidate should be familiar with everything you're proposing and be quite comfortable with it, no surprises. That being said, no matter how clear the expectations are between both parties, negotiation will always be part of the process. Rarely have I seen an opportunity close without one of the parties offering some element of negotiation. So you'll know how much room you've got to negotiate, but avoid doing it at this meeting. If they're asking for another 5 or 10 grand more, reiterate that this is the offer that you've come back with, the one that you've just presented in writing, the one you've been speaking about since the process started. Remember that the candidate now knows that you want them, so you've really shown them the cards that you've had close to your chest. So it's critical that you remain the power in the negotiation by reminding them of obviously your previous discussions as well, making sure you've been clear on it from day one and you've reiterated every single turn. Make the suggestion, if there is that element of flexibility, to take some time to go over it at home. Have a think. In the meantime, encourage them to get in touch if they have any questions. It's vital to keep you cool in this situation as well, particularly in the final stages. You don't want to give in straight away to a proposal for more money. If you've set clear expectations from the start and they're really engaged, chances are they are going to accept your offer. So don't necessarily expose yourself by just giving in straight away. That being said, if the candidate does appear genuinely reluctant, try to discover the source of indecision as well. So be prepared to listen and to see whether or not it's possible to compromise. Sometimes, again, a bit of pride and a bit of ego can get involved, so do try to stay away from that. At the end of the day, this individual is looking for the best possible offer, as are you, so do try to keep a very level and very, very calm head as well. Of course, reiterate the benefits of working for the business, the professional opportunities on offer, of course, the new projects coming online perhaps, or maybe even the family-friendly culture, that work-life balance piece that you have. Recap on how your business is a good match to their career and lifestyle, everything that they've explained to you during the interview process as well. So remember that throughout the process, the candidate is forming important impressions about you as potentially the boss, as the line manager, as the leader of the business, about your character, about your business, handling any negotiation fairly, being open, and with a high level of respect as well, will make this prospect of working for you all the more appealing as well. You've got to pay attention as well to how they negotiate, get an indication of their character. So this is a two-way street. Do they get frustrated or demanding if your initial offer isn't aligning with their thinking? Or do they calmly and confidently approach this part of the interview like a business transaction as well? Particularly from a sales piece, a lot of my clients get a little bit frustrated when a candidate doesn't negotiate because it does impact on their view on how they are from a sales perspective. Finally, remember that you're dealing with a human being and ultimately things can change. If they've got a serious or unexpected reservation at the last minute, avoid the temptation to plead your case. You don't want them to accept the offer half-heartedly, only to jump ship a few months later. Their situation may have simply changed in ways that are outside of your control and maybe even outside their own as well. So the smart offer is crucial, face-to-face, do it in writing, level head. This is a negotiation at the end of the day, so a very important part of the process. So a bit of a recap on today. Obviously, finding the right number, that's a really important part to do your research on. Obviously, personalizing the package as well. Is crucial, making sure we find those financial and non-financial sides of things, and then of course making that smart offer, doing it the right way, making sure that we're articulate and we're clear on what we're offering as well. Negotiating the salary, making the job offer can be stressful for everybody, not only the client itself, it's quite nerve-wracking, but also the candidate. Maybe they're looking to move from their current business. This is the bit where they get quite nervous about making that move. But with the right preparation, you can secure your employee, who is just as excited about the opportunity as you are about them as well. So remember to set clear expectations from the start. Know your market, know your company, know the candidate as best you can. Build that rapport from day one. Present a personalized and considered offer that you know appeals to them, and do that, and you will achieve the ultimate outcome, which is absolutely crucial. A new high-caliber employee that understands exactly what you need and is motivated by exactly what you have to offer as well. A valued and engaged team member is without a doubt your most important asset. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but that's exactly it. Your business runs on people, so finding the right people is absolutely crucial as well. So that's the large part of the presentation itself. We've obviously covered a range of different topics, and the whole process of that salary negotiation and offer management is a crucial part of what we do here at Michael Page. It's an area where we add a huge amount of value to a lot of the customers that we deal with, and it can be the most challenging part. So as we've been going through the webinar itself, we've obviously received a number of questions as well through the chat module. So I'll try to get through as many as we can. My apologies, we're running a little bit low on time, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. So one of the questions that's come through, which I found was quite poignant, was you obviously mentioned getting in touch with consultants for advice on market rates. Can I still contact them if I want to recruit directly? So I'm conscious I don't want to turn this into a sales pitch for Michael Page, and that's not what I'm trying to get at here. This is information that is vital to a lot of our customers or potential customers as well. So look, by all means, get in touch with us. There's no issue whatsoever. You'll certainly not be tied into some sort of agreement if you're not looking to use a recruitment agency. Our job here at Michael Page, yes, we're a commercial business. Yes, we work with our customers, and we do charge fees for our services. But at the same time, if you've got some questions around the market rates, some of the salaries that are on offer as well, please do feel free to pick up the phone to one of the consultants here, send through an email. I'll provide an email address towards the end of this presentation, but we are happy to give you some advice and guidance on that. Ultimately, you may ask what's in it for us. At the end of the day, we do work commercially, but at the same time, we are a consultancy. We do believe in giving out information to potential customers. And whilst you might not be looking to recruit right now, hopefully growing your business with some of the advice we can give to you may help us build a partnership long term as well. So please do reach out if you've got any questions, even if you'd like to recruit the role directly. There's a really important question here, which has been coming up a lot recently, which is how do I know if the candidate is telling the truth about their current salary? And this is something that has come up a few times in a couple of roles, certainly at the beginning of this year, is that some clients don't necessarily believe some of the inflated salaries that candidates are talking through, which is interesting, and it's a very difficult question for us to answer. Some of our customers have been quite rigid and quite firm and have demanded pay slips from the candidates themselves, which personally I do not support at all for a number of different reasons. It leaves an incredibly bad taste in the candidate's mouth that the trust isn't there from day one. If the candidate hasn't done something to warrant the mistrust, then demanding pay slips or bonus slips, whatever it might be, is a very, very difficult and very silly thing to do in my mind. If it's something, if you don't trust the candidate to tell you the right salary level that they're on right now, then my advice would be that you might not trust them in the role itself, so potentially you want to start looking elsewhere. And similarly, if I were asked for my payslips from day one, I perhaps wouldn't be overly excited about giving them out because it is quite sensitive, quite personal information as well. I guess the decision that you need to make when somebody tells you what their salary is and what their expectations are is, do you feel that they're worth that to your business? Can they help you achieve your goals and your targets? And if they can, pay the money that they're offering if you can afford it. If you don't think they're the right person and you feel that they're too expensive for what you're looking to get out of it, then move on with another candidate. I think that's probably the best way to do it, rather than asking for evidence or asking if they're telling the truth as well. So a gut feeling does often come into this when asking about salaries. Another good question as well that came through the chat module is, how do you recommend dealing with a counter offer? So this is a really big problem with a lot of businesses, particularly when you're looking for the best person on the market. often they are seen in their own business as the best person on the market, and a lot of businesses are reluctant to let the candidate go. Something that I do very regularly is make sure that we ask that question from day one. What will your current employer do? What will they say? Should you accept an offer from us? Should you resign tomorrow? And a lot of candidates are quite open and say, well, they will probably give me a counter offer. And it's important for us to find out what their motivations are. Will they accept that counter offer? What are the reasons they're looking to move on outside of money? If there's a lack of career progression, or they don't like their boss, or they're not finding the travel stimulating or the job stimulating, this is an important thing for you to focus on from day one, because the counter offer may be more money, but rarely will it be a bigger or better opportunity within the business. It's generally the previous business scrambling to try and retain their talent, when you're potentially offering something that's a little bit more robust than that and something they can get their teeth sunk into. So raise it from day one and make sure you are in a position to obviously argue that without having to go into a salary or a negotiation war with their current employer as well. So be very clear, be very transparent. It's the message throughout the entire process itself. And then the final question, which we'll get to, apologies, we are running a little bit over time, is do I need to make all benefits available equally to all staff? So that work-life balance, that ability to work from home, things like that. Look, it's not absolutely essential that you do so. It's not something that you must do with every employee within your business, but it is important for you to think about the ramifications should the offer that you've given to your new employee get out to the rest of the staff. So if you're letting candidate A take a Wednesday from home every day, and make sure that if that gets out to the rest of your employees, if it becomes gossip and you're not offering it out, or you're not prepared to offer it to your entire team, this can cause a little bit of a mutiny and can be completely counterproductive, which is not what you're looking for. So again, have a think about how you word your benefits, how you present your benefits as well. Our business is heavily focused on dynamic working, so working when you're required to work as such, and rolling out across the whole business in a responsible manner is perhaps a way in which you can look at doing that. If not, it's important that you obviously stress the sensitivity around these benefits to your new employee or to your new candidate from day one, making sure, of course, that you're very clear about the sensitivities around those as well. So we've got some more questions that have come through, which I'll certainly aim to get back to, perhaps over email or over the phone over the next few days. For the time being, we are running out of time, so I do just want to wrap up. Any more questions, please feel free to email us, webinar@michaelpage.com.au. We'll send out an email at the end of this session as well with obviously the recording of this webinar with the slideshow as well, so please do feel free to get in touch. We'll obviously share the answers as well. Please do feel free to share with some of your colleagues also. And then the final slide that I've got for you here is Alex Neal, who is our SME recruitment expert, is available obviously on the phone to answer any questions you have. She can provide some more information about how we can assist with things like understanding the certain roles are paying in the market, knowing the different levels of talent you can acquire for your money as well. She's got a really good understanding of the breadth that you can get or you can accommodate with certain levels of salary, and of course dealing with salary negotiation challenges as well. If you do decide to get in touch, make sure you do ask Alex about the free advertising package we've got on offer. She'll talk through it with you in a bit more detail. It's over $500 worth of advertising on a range of different job boards as well. So please do ask Alex about that. She can give you all the information itself. Of course, other ways you can get in touch with us, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll certainly do what I can afterwards to connect with everybody on this call. Obviously, you can get in touch with us via Facebook as well. And then, of course, finally, there will be a very short survey after this webinar. So please do let us know your thoughts and what you'd like to hear about next time. Very open to feedback. And that's about it from me. So on behalf of myself and everybody here at Michael Page, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you found the past sort of 50 minutes or so useful and beneficial. Any questions, please do feel free to get in touch, and we'll speak to you soon.